Have you ever stopped to think that seemingly ordinary moments can be evidence of something much bigger happening in your life? What if I told you that God has left clear signs that you are chosen by Him? Today, we're going to explore 7 incredible signs that show how God is present and active, even when you don't realize it. These signs are life-changing and reveal the special purpose He has for you. Before we move on to the signs that show how God is present in your life, I want to invite you to be part of this journey. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content that can strengthen your faith and bring you more spiritual clarity. Here we share deep and practical reflections, inspired by the Word of God and great thinkers such as C.S. Lewis. Be part of this community and discover how to live out God's purpose for you. Sometimes in the midst of the hustle and bustle of everyday life, we feel distant from God. It may seem that He is silent or that we are alone facing our challenges. This feeling is something many of us have experienced, but the truth is that God never abandons us. Even in the moments of greatest difficulty, He is by our side, leaving clear signs of His presence. C.S. Lewis said that God whispers in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but cries out in our sorrows. This means that it is often in the most difficult moments that we can perceive the signs of His care in our lives. However, recognizing these signs requires attention and faith. Today, we're going to identify 7 signs that God is active in your story. These signs not only confirm His love, but also show the special purpose He has for you. In this video, we'll dive into 7 signs that show how God has left His mark on your life. From moments of divine protection to a peace that transcends understanding, each piece of evidence reflects His care and purpose for you. Let's explore together how these signs not only confirm His presence, but also enable you to live with greater faith and confidence. Get ready to recognize God in every detail of your path. Have you ever felt protected in an inexplicable way, as if something greater was watching over you? This supernatural security is one of the clearest proofs that God is with you. He doesn't promise that we won't face difficulties, but He does guarantee that His protection will always be there, guiding and guarding our every step. C.S. Lewis said that God is in control, even when all seems lost. Think of stories like that of Daniel in the lion's den. Surrounded by mortal danger, he was protected because God had a greater purpose in his life. David, when facing Goliath, knew that his strength lay not in the weapons he carried, but in the hand of God guiding him. This protection is not limited to the great biblical stories. It is also present in our daily lives. How many times have you escaped from difficult situations or found an unexpected solution to a problem? These moments are signs that God is watching over you, even when you don't realize it. Psalm 46:1 reminds us, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. He acts not only in the physical, but also in the emotional and spiritual, protecting you from things you often can't even see. Think about your life. Is there a situation in which you felt this divine protection? Perhaps it was a moment of difficulty or an important decision. Recognize these moments as a clear sign of God's care and give thanks for His constant presence. He is always by your side, showing you that you are uniquely chosen and loved. Have you ever noticed how even in the most difficult times, something always comes along to meet your needs? This is no coincidence. It is divine sustenance. God in His goodness takes care of every detail of your life, ensuring that you have what you need to fulfill the purpose He has for you. C.S. Lewis said, God does not promise us a life without challenges, but assures us that we will never be helpless. This truth can be seen throughout the Bible. Remember the Israelites in the desert. Without food and water, God sent manna from heaven and made water flow from a rock to sustain His people. He didn't let them lack anything, even in the most unlikely circumstances. Perhaps you have experienced something similar: unexpected help, a resource that arrived just in time, or even the emotional strength to deal with a problem. These are clear examples of God's provision, who knows your needs before you even ask. Psalm 23:1 reminds us, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. This sustenance goes beyond the physical to include the spiritual and emotional, providing strength, wisdom, and comfort in difficult times. Reflect. Where have you seen God's sustenance in your life? It could be something simple, like a word of encouragement, or something great, like financial deliverance, or a miracle of health. Whatever the case, know that this is clear evidence of His care. Give thanks for this sustenance and trust that God will continue to supply your needs, because He is faithful and His love for you is infinite. Have you ever had the feeling that an opportunity came into your life completely unexpectedly? That something happened and you knew it wasn't just chance? This is God's favor, unmistakable evidence that you bear His mark. This favor is not based on merit, but is the result of His grace and love for you. C.S. Lewis said that grace is a gift that reaches us even when we are not worthy of it. A powerful example of this is the story of Joseph. He was sold into slavery by his own brothers, faced years of hardship and injustice, but at every stage God's favor was with him. Joseph was elevated to the position of governor of Egypt, a door that no one could have opened on their own. Perhaps you too have experienced something similar, an unexpected promotion at work, an encounter that changed the course of your life, or even a solution that seemed impossible. This is God's favor, which works in ways we often can't even understand. Deuteronomy 28:13 says, "The Lord will make you the head and not the tail." This means that his favor not only opens doors, but also positions you to achieve the purpose he has for you. Reflect. Are there doors that have been opened for you in an inexplicable way? These are not coincidences, but clear manifestations of God's favor. Recognize these blessings and glorify his name for his undeserved grace. Trust that he will continue to open paths, taking you to places and experiences that are beyond any human expectation. Have you ever been in a challenging situation and yet felt an inexplicable peace, a calm that seemed to make no sense in the face of what was happening? This is the peace that surpasses all understanding, a clear sign that God is present in your life. It's not something the world can offer, but a direct gift from him to those who trust in his care. C.S. Lewis said that God does not give us peace apart from himself. It is inseparable from his presence. This peace goes beyond circumstances, bringing serenity even in the midst of chaos. An example of this can be found in the disciples during the storm. While the boat was being rocked by the waves, Jesus slept peacefully. With one word, he calmed the sea and at the same time brought peace to the hearts of the disciples. This peace also manifests itself in everyday moments. Perhaps you've ever faced a difficult decision or a situation that seemed out of control, but suddenly found the strength and tranquility to move on. This is not your ability. It is God acting in your life, reminding you that he is in control. Philippians 4:7 reminds us, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This peace not only comforts us, but strengthens us to face any challenge with confidence. Reflect. Where have you experienced this peace in your life? Perhaps it was in a moment of prayer, during a trial, or when you heard God's voice in silence. This peace is evidence of God's mark on you, and a reminder that with God you can face any storm. We've been exploring these powerful signs of God in our lives, and now I want to know from you, which one has spoken most to your heart so far? Share it in the comments, as your story may inspire others who are also seeking to recognize God's action. And if this content has edified your faith, please like the video. This not only helps us reach more people, but also strengthens our community of faith, allowing this message to touch even more lives. Have you ever noticed that even in the midst of challenges, God turns your struggles into victories? Being marked by God means that he is at work in your life, using every battle to shape you and bring you closer to the purpose he has planned. Victory is not just about conquering something material, but about overcoming obstacles that seemed impossible with the strength that only he can give. C.S. Lewis wrote that difficulties are often preparations for an extraordinary destiny. Consider the story of David. Not only did he defeat Goliath with a stone, but he faced years of persecution before becoming king. Every challenge he faced was used by God to shape his character and prepare him for the purpose that awaited him. Just like David, you too are being shaped in your daily battles. Maybe it's a situation at work, a family problem, or even an internal struggle. God is using these situations to strengthen your faith and bring you to a place where you can fulfill his purpose. Romans 8:28 reminds us, "We know that all things work together for good for those who love God." This means that even difficulties are part of a bigger plan, which leads you to victory and purpose. Reflect. What struggles have you faced? And when you look back, do you realize that God was at work? Every victory, big or small, is evidence of God's power in your life. Thank God for these achievements and trust that he will continue to guide your steps. With him, your life is not just a series of struggles, but a living testimony of what it means to be chosen for something greater. When God leaves his mark on your life, it spills over into your relationships. You notice that love, patience, and forgiveness begin to shape your interactions with others. This is one of the most powerful signs that you are being transformed by him. C.S. Lewis said that to love is to desire the good of another as God desires it. And this grace is evident in the relationships of those who have been set apart by him. Jesus gave us the greatest example of how to live relationships centered on love. He forgave those who rejected him, welcomed the marginalized, and showed compassion even to those who crucified him. When we are marked by God, our love also becomes unconditional, reflecting the character of Christ. Perhaps you have already experienced this transformation in your life, a conflict that was resolved by grace, the strength to forgive someone who hurt you, or a gesture of compassion that changed the course of a relationship. These moments are the fruit of God's presence in your heart. Romans 12:10 encourages us, "Love one another cordially with brotherly love." This love is not an obligation but a natural consequence of being shaped by God's grace. It enables us to live in harmony, promoting peace and reconciliation in our relationships. Reflect, is there someone in your life with whom you need to be reconciled? Ask God to give you the strength to love, forgive, and live in peace. Every act of love is evidence that you are living under the divine imprint and that your life is becoming a reflection of God's character to those around you. When you are marked by God, a courage emerges that goes beyond human logic. It's not about the absence of fear, but about the confidence that God is in control, even in the most challenging situations. This courage is one of the clearest signs that you have been set apart by Him. C.S. Lewis said that courage is the form of every virtue when it is tested. Think of Moses, who was called by God to lead the people of Israel. Even though he was unsure and full of doubts, he trusted in God's promise and faced Pharaoh with courage. Or Esther, who risked her life to intercede for her people. In each story, trust in God generated a courage that turned the impossible into victory. Perhaps you are facing a challenge that seems insurmountable, a difficult decision, a dream that seems distant, or even an internal struggle. The courage that comes from God does not depend on your ability, but on the strength He gives you. Isaiah 41:10 reminds us, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." This confidence is also seen in everyday life. Perhaps you have already taken a step of faith that seemed risky or daring, but deep down you knew that God was with you. This courage is the fruit of the certainty that He never abandons you and that He is acting on your behalf. Reflect, where do you need this courage today? Trust that God is already enabling you to face any challenge. This courage and confidence are not only signs of God's presence in your life, but also a testimony to those around you. Each of the signs we've explored so far is a reminder of God's love for you. He is present in your life, guiding, protecting, and transforming every detail for His purpose. But recognizing these signs is only the beginning. They are an invitation for you to live with more confidence and intentionality, knowing that God has a unique and special plan for you. C.S. Lewis said that faith is the art of holding fast to things which reason has already accepted, in spite of its moods. Thus, recognizing the divine imprint in your life is an act of faith which transforms the way you see challenges and opportunities. Reflect, which of these signs have you identified in your story? Where has God been at work in your life? Give thanks for these signs and allow them to strengthen your journey, guiding each step towards the purpose He has prepared for you. Now that you've discovered the signs that show how God is present in your life, it's time to act. Don't keep this to yourself. Share in the comments which of these signs spoke to your heart the most. Your experience may inspire others to recognize God's care in their own lives. If this video touched you, like it and subscribe to the channel to keep receiving messages that strengthen your faith. When you like or share it, you're helping to bring this message to more people who also need this encouragement. Also, activate the bell to make sure you don't miss any content that can transform your spiritual journey. We are here to grow together in faith and communion, always remembering that God calls us to live with purpose and confidence. Your participation is important to continue spreading this message of love and hope. We've reached the end of this video, but the impact of this message on your life has only just begun. The signs we've seen today, protection, sustenance, favor, peace, victory, transformed relationships and courage, are living reminders that you are chosen and loved by God. They show that even in the most difficult times, God is present, guiding your steps and shaping your story for something much greater. C.S. Lewis said that difficulties are often preparations for extraordinary destinies. You may be facing challenges right now, but know that God is using each one to strengthen you and bring you closer to His purpose for your life. These signs are an invitation to live more intentionally, recognizing that you have been set apart by Him for a unique and eternal plan. Today, I encourage you to reflect on what we have learned. Where have you seen God at work? Which of these signs are most evident in your journey? And how can you respond to this in a practical way, living with more confidence and gratitude? Remember, God never abandons you. He is with you every step of the way, opening doors, bringing peace and strengthening your faith. Trust in Him because His faithfulness is unwavering and His purpose is perfect. Thank you for being here and for being part of this spiritual journey. May God continue to bless your life and reveal more of His plans for you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who needs to hear about God's love and care. Until the next video, and may your life always be a reflection of His light and grace.